This is the start of new bins. I'm using a soldering iron. I'm using just some plastic tubs. You can also use 5-gallon buckets, preferably food grade. You don't want some toxic chemicals that have been in there, especially if you're going to use your worms for composting and going in your garden. Although I have used laundry detergent bins, and obviously washed them out really good, and they work just as well because they come in tubs and they are stackable. So as you can see, I've already started my holes. I think I'm gonna go with 8 holes. And I'm right on top is the lid, so it's going through to other lids too. I'm just gonna go as far as the soldering iron will allow me to go. Pull it out. Let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Need 3 more. And this is for the worms to be able to travel through as they break down the compost. And again, worms are great for composting to go into your garden, or you can throw worms directly into your garden if you have raised bins. They work well as great tillers, so you don't ever have to worry about the water just sitting up, and they're constantly fertilizing. And that is an awesome way to get natural fertilizer and not add chemicals to your garden. Also, if you're just doing, you're just planning to raise worms for like fishing, or, you're raising them to sell, again, this is the way you can do it. And some people, when they start their bins out, when they first get their worms, you may want to, just sprinkle a little bit of water on them, or if you have a spray bottle, spray a little bit on them because they breathe through their skin. Okay, I think I have 8. Let's see. Can't count on this Saturday morning. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I have 8. So I'm gonna pause this one from here, and I'm just gonna continue through. I think I have 4 bins in here, and of course the soldering iron is pretty warm. So I'm just gonna work through that, and then I will continue. And as I pull the first layer off, you can see that it has gone through to my second layer, so that's going to save me some time, and I won't have to, wow, it's gone through to the third level, it's gone through to the 4th level, and I think I'm good. I don't have to poke any more holes in the tops of the lids. Now I'm going to work on the bins. Now the key here with the bins, when you're first starting out, you want your bottom bin to not have holes, because that's the one that will catch the worm tea. And the worm tea is, the liquid that the worms produce from breaking down the materials. And you can maybe place a small hole on the side, and if you want to get fancy, you can put a little spout or something in there, but otherwise just have something you can stuff the hole or make it high enough where it wouldn't leak out. But you can again just poke something in there, like say even the top of like a half-gallon milk carton. Say, for example, if you drink like almond milk or orange juice, something that can just go in there and help hold the liquid in there. And of course, with the worm tea, you can dilute that with 50% water, and that again is liquid fertilizer. It's something that can be used for your indoor and outdoor plants. I would suggest if you after you add the water, just let it sit for a day so everything can settle. I'm going to lift this first bin off, and then I'm going to start poking holes through the bottom and the sides. I will start from the sides because the bottom one does need holes for the worms to breathe. Again, they breathe through their skin, but I won't poke holes in the bottom because I don't want to lose liquid through the bottom. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to have all 4 of the bins together, and I will start with my air holes. And the salter is getting really hot. Okay, hole number 1. Hole number 2 is almost through. The second one too, maybe the third one. Hole number 3. And with the side holes, I'm just gonna go with 4 because I'm gonna do 4 on the larger sides, 2 on the smaller sides. Force it, let it work its way through. Alright, so we got 4 there, and I'm going to flip. So I think I'm gonna go in the center here. And I chose clear bins so I can see the activity. I'm kind of nosy and inquisitive. And please excuse the noise from my vacuum. You know, I have to multitask. And I can't hold a vacuum and prepare worm bins at the same time. So, again, please excuse the noise. Yeah, it's working its way, I think, between all 4. That's why it's taken a while. Alright, so I'm gonna go through the other 2 sides, and I'm gonna pause here. Okay, so now that I've separated them, this is my bottom one, so I don't want holes in the bottom because I don't want the worms to come out or the worm teeth. So I'm gonna proceed to poke my holes in the bottom now that I've separated them. And I think next time I will do them individually because I had to use a butcher knife and a wooden spatula to separate because I didn't move fast enough to separate, and some of the plastic dried and hardened together. So this is my bin number 2, and like I said, I'm going to proceed with bin number 3 and 4, doing the same thing. So I will be back in just a moment. Okay, I'm on the 8th hole for bin number 3, and then I'm gonna move on to bin number 4, and that will be that for the holes for them to travel and breathe. Okay, so that's bin number 4. Got our 8 holes. I have them separated so they don't stick together. And now I will start with some bedding. And you don't have to buy bedding. You can use paper from your paper shredder. Or if you're like me, I don't have a paper shredder, I go ahead and I utilize my fingers and tear up my mail, and I put the shredded paper, on the bottom. That's what is your bedding. And you're gonna layer it with compost. So your nitrogen-rich items would be your items from your kitchen scraps, like, when you're making a salad. Avoid things like potatoes, because that can cause yeast to grow and that could contaminate the bin, so you want to avoid that. But like the ends of onions, tomatoes, and celery, lettuce heads, or the parts that you're not using, just be mindful that some of that may begin to grow, and that's great. You can take it out and pot it. We have also rabbits, so we have paper and droppings, which is good. Rabbit droppings are great fertilizer that you can add. You can also add chicken droppings. Just be careful that the temperature doesn't get too hot, because things can burn. But yeah, so since we have some rabbit paper, used paper, and so on, I'm gonna use that. And then I will layer it with some other items. And the other items that you can use is like hair from your brush or your comb, the ends of your toilet paper rollers, and your paper towel rollers. Like I said, the mail, you just want to avoid shiny paper, and also cardboard boxes. And keep in mind, things that you put in there, the smaller you shred it, the faster they can break it down. But if you put it in there whole, just be mindful that it will take longer. And it just depends on the temperature. In cooler temps, the compost, the red worms will work a little slower. In warmer temps, they work faster, but you want to make sure they don't get too warm. I would suggest I like to keep them under 85 degrees. So that may mean you want to place your bin in a shaded area, or you may want to place it in your garage. And if you start to develop odors, that means that you need more carbon-rich items. That, like I said, the cardboard, the paper, the toilet paper rollers, and things of that nature. And of course, eggshells and egg crates are great for the compost. Coffee grinds, all of those things. But like I said, if you start to develop any type of odor, then your balance is off. You just need to add more of the carbon-rich products. So I will stop there and add bedding. All right, now I've moved my bin to my garage because we may get a few more freezing temperatures, but my worms have lasted through -9. But since I'm starting a new bin, I'm just going to start them in here. And so, yeah, I will start with, this is our used paper bedding. It's been used by our rabbits. So I'm gonna go ahead and line the bin with that. And be sure, any gardening you're doing, be sure to wash your hands thoroughly when done. And I know you're probably thinking, okay, I know that, but sometimes we get busy and we just don't do what we need to do. So just a friendly reminder. And I'm gonna spread this out on the bottom. Now remember, your bottom bin does not have the holes on the bottom. And I went to my original compost bin, and I have compost that's breaking down. But you see, there are some red worms, and they are breaking down this, so I'm just gonna spread them here. And keep in mind, worms do multiply fast. Within about 30 days or so, they're multiplied by 3 to 9 worms per egg. So don't worry about running out of worms. That should be maybe the least of your worries. Or if you're only starting with a few, it's okay. They are going to multiply. So this was a big chunk of newspaper, and yeah, I was a bit lazy, so I didn't tear it up. But keep in mind, you can also put in your lint from your dryer. So I'm gonna put maybe one more scoop here because I'm gonna start the next bin also. So I have some larger things that I'm not gonna break down, so I'm gonna go ahead and dump those items in here, and I'm just gonna let them work. So even things like your drink holders, they will break down. And remember, like I said, if you break it down smaller, it's faster. But I'm not so full of energy today, so I'm just gonna get this this one bin started, and then we can put the next layer up. So you'll see there's, and we want to avoid plastic at all costs. And what they'll do is they'll leave the plastic. They won't eat those. So I'm gonna take that out. And yes, because butter wrapper is wax, they will break that down too. So you just want to avoid cooked oils, raw meat, no meats at all, and avoid potatoes going into your potato skins, unless you're growing potatoes from the buds you have from maybe some older potatoes. And this was a bag that we had in our kitchen. It was a gift bag, and I just started filling it with stuff on the counter. So you see we had some old grapes, we had some, you can use napkins and paper towels. A lot of times I'll put the kitchen scraps on a paper towel or something. Just again, avoid meats, dairy, outside of the eggshells, and potatoes. Now, as far as dairy, if you have spoiled milk, that actually works to kill the bad bugs. So you can use spoiled milk on your garden, or even on, over your compost. And again, that will help to get rid of the bad bugs. Let's see. So I'm gonna put a little bit more of some of the bedding that we had from the rabbits. So you kind of get the gist. It's mine. I call myself the lazy gardener. Sometimes I will tear up paper and so on. Sometimes I'll leave big chunks, but it's okay. I'm not in a hurry. And especially when my energy level is low. So that's gonna be about it. I'm gonna put a few more worms from the other composter I have in here. And you can see a few worms there. Yeah, I'm gonna sprinkle those on top, and maybe one more. So that's all I'm gonna put there. I'm going to put my second layer here. And you see I have a few items already in there. And so that is what the holes are for. The worms, as they break down the other stuff, they're gonna come up through those holes because they move upwards, not downwards. So I have some packing paper from a package. And so I just saved that inside, kept it in a bag, and then brought it up to the garage. So I am a true believer in reuse, recycle, and repurpose. And the repurpose is going to be lining for my bedding. And again, this helps our planet. This is, you know, not packing paper that would be going back into the landfill. And I do have some orange peels in here. You want to limit your citrus, or just spread it out, because worms tend to not like too much citrus. So, and you want to keep the balance, you know, going pretty good. So yeah, and I'm gonna dump the rest of the worms here, and then when I get more things to add in here, I'm gonna add those in here. But this is what it looks like when they start to break it down. And when it's totally broken down, it will be nice, rich black. And that's what they call black gold. But as you can see here, we have a few pieces of compost. And I do sell consider this compost starter. So if you're starting your bin and you want, you know, some of the good bacteria and so on, you can buy that. Or I do sell worms only. And of course, worms only cost more. They are generally sold by the pound, but it costs more because it takes time to separate them from, you know, the compost and the castings. And the castings, if you didn't know, that's basically worm poop. But that is what makes your garden so rich and grow those big juicy tomatoes and so on, whatever you like to grow or experiment with growing. So you can also see something is growing in there too, the white stems. So yeah, I'm just gonna dump these last few worms and compost in here. So this bin will get started too. And then I will continue to layer, and I'm gonna dump a bunch of worms in here probably in the next couple days. And those are the ones that will help boost this bin. But those are also the ones that are for those guys that want to get their worm bin started and they want worms only. So yeah, all right, that's it for today. Okay, as you can see, I added to the bin. I forgot I had the indoor compost bins. So you can see again, Mel, today I'm not breaking down much of anything. These I'm going to take out because they're the shiny material. So I will take this out. And like I said, you want to avoid putting plastic, but they will just leave those to the side. So when it's fully broken down and you're gardening with it, feel free to just remove the plastic if you miss any, so don't panic. And I know this looks gross, but this is the dust from the vacuum. So yes, you can put that in there too. just gonna spread these around. So yeah, brown paper bags, I don't throw them away. As you can see, we've had some Taco Bell. And yeah, these are compostable too. These are out of cardboard. Yeah, they have a bit of the shiny on them, but they will leave that behind. So as I mentioned in a previous video, these are the laundry detergent bins, and I did the same thing. I just place holes in them, and I always wipe them down really good or wash them off with a hose before taking them back in. But the holes are on top and side, and these are stackable, and that's, you know, to provide plenty of air for them to breathe, and that helps with them breaking down. So this one has plenty of carbon. Now I'll be looking for more kitchen scraps to layer with, but oh, you can see from the indoor bin, there's one of the worms, and it's active. So I'm gonna help it get down to the bottom, because they do not like light. Won't kill them, they just don't like it. So yeah, not perfect. It could be broken down. It'd be faster for them to break down. But again, I'm the lazy gardener, but it gets the job done. And soon I'll show you some that is completely broken down, so you know what it looks like at the end.